like.
Looks like having to make do with what we've got. And just leaving Flaujac Pujol, and I've got a feeling it's downhill all the way now, more or less, to Cahors. And the sun is out, and it's a clear blue sky, and I've got mixed feelings because it's been going pretty well the last few days. And I can't really see myself getting further than Cahors now. It would only postpone the inevitable for a few days. The trouble is we're probably in for a spell of glorious weather now, for a week or so. If today's anything to go by, it's about due. Well, after 3 weeks of walking, someone actually offered me a lift within half a dozen kilometres of Cahors. Dear. I suppose there was that lift outside Cluny, but jolly fat lady in a deux chevaux, and she was going to Cahors. Did I want a lift? Which, well, how nice of her. And I said no, I was going to walk. So I said je suis un peu fou, but no, she said, it's a lovely day, lovely for walking. There's no way I'm going to drive into Cahors at the end of this trip. But in a sense it brings me closer to the end and closer to what I've been away from, which is things like cars and news and fast food and travel and all the rest of it. Not that I'm ever that close to it anyway, but it's sort of symbolic that it should happen at this stage. And there are the roofs of Cahors. And I've been walking across the sort of plateau in this baking heat. There's no shade. Fortunately, I've got my hat and my back is to the sun. But then I haven't had anything to drink all day. No fluids. Except a little bit of wine. And the first thing I'm going to do when I get down there is get stuck into Orangina. Or cold champagne really should be the answer, but possibly after I've found a hotel rather than before. Having said there, the roofs of Cahors, I've been fooled by this sort of thing more than once before. You say there are the roofs, and another hour later you seem to be no nearer. I'm determined that shouldn't happen. Here we go anyway. 8 minutes past 2. I'll see how long it takes actually to get down there and be crossing one of those bridges. Well, I do believe the impossible's going to happen. I'm actually going to come straight down off this hill into the town. There it is. And what an odd sight. I was expecting all old, and it's more or less bisected from this end, and then this is the south, I suppose. On the left-hand side, or the west, appears to be all new, modern office blocks and the railway line, new pan-tiled roofs, pylons, and then 2/3 of the way across there's obviously what's an avenue of trees that goes more or less all the way up through the town, which isn't that big by the look of it. You can sort of feel you can get your arms around it. And on the eastern third, all old, a real jumble of stuff. And that's just first impression. And the railway snaking, the railway line, the main line snaking away to the south. And the rather drier, more barren-looking hills than I've seen of late surrounding the town. The hills of dry country. First time I've really seen it on this trip. Everything's being very green, but as someone said in a shop the other day, that everything has stayed much greener much later this year. The weather, because of the weather. Well, here we go. Downhill. It's 6:15, and I'm actually at last sitting down in a room which I paid for. It's the ultimate in garret rooms. It's really marvellous. How should I describe it? Well, to begin at the floor. It's lino on the floor, little iron bedstead with a narrow mattress and, I must say, clean sheets. The room is about 1.5 yards wide, maybe by 5 or 6 long. There are bars on the window, not I think to stop me getting out, but to stop anyone coming in across the roof, which comes down right to the window opening here of the next property, pan-tiled roof. Marvellous sort of that rather faded smoke yellow colour that you get in bars on a beamed ceiling, which it could be a bar ceiling from some Cornish fishing village. On the walls, wallpaper that was probably put up only as recently as 20 years ago. There is a basin with running water, hot and cold. And I have a table and a chair. The table is one of the wrought iron variety that are favoured by pubs. It would probably fetch a few bob in England. And there's a little sort of small cupboard, not a wardrobe, just a little waist-high cupboard in the corner. That's it. That's the lot. And the evening sun is streaming through the bars of my window. and I see that there's a hook in the, someone's driven a fairly hefty hook into one of the beams. Was it the last occupant who tied a piece of cord around his neck and hanged himself in here, or what? Gérard de Nerval, it has that sort of touch about it. It's definitely not of this century, this room. It is, that's what's so good about it. The windows are sort of nearly falling off their hinges. I suppose they managed to keep things going that much longer in this country because the climate is a little bit better. Things just don't fall apart so quickly. So it's taken me probably 4 hours to get to this point of actually sitting down, and I'm not going to get a shower. I suppose I've only paid 60 francs for the room, but then I've been getting away with it recently, and having a sheet to myself with showers and all the rest of it, so I've been spoiled. In celebration of what looks like the end of the war for this year, I've lashed out in the local supermarket and bought, I don't know why, I have no idea why, some smoked salmon. And I was going to buy champagne, and I thought, oh, this is ridiculous. I've been saving money well the last week. And I'm suddenly sort of spent 10 quid just like that as soon as I get to Cahors, which incidentally seems an inexpensive little town. I asked at a couple more hotels, rooms with a shower 110. And, well, even by Paris standards, that's half of the course. The first thing I run into when I come across this ridge is a couple of young Englishmen who seem to be hitching their way around France from one place to another. They seem to know people here and people there, and apparently seem to be able to get hold of their dole over here. So one of them was telling me. They want me to meet them in a bar later on tonight, but not till about 10 o'clock, which I think is too late for me. I don't really think I can get into the whole English thing. I'll only get drunk if I do. I'll probably try and avoid that. And that's the situation now. Oh, to go with the smoked salmon, I bought cider instead of champagne. I somehow resented paying money for champagne. Anyway, I couldn't get it cold. There's no way you can get cold drinks. I had to ask the man in the supermarket to stick the cider in the deep freeze for half an hour for me, which he obligingly did. Very helpful. I think probably the next step is get changed and wander around to the station and check on those train times that girl gave me in the syndicat cabaret. There's a train that leaves at 20 past 8 and gets into Paris at about 20 past 1, I think. Do I want to be in Paris tomorrow? Oh God, I'm not really, I don't know. It has been the perfect day weather-wise, and the walk was fine. Part of the problem, I was here, as I think I said, in about 6 hours walking time, which is about, I think, probably about 25 to 30 kilometers. It wasn't difficult walking. My room, I think, is one of many in a medieval tenement block. There's a vast, great wooden door that leads into this place from the narrowest of streets, with the buildings towering on either side like the cliffs of the sail that I've been walking down. And then you enter and you come into a dark, slightly damp, almost courtyardish hall with stone flags and gloom. And then you start to ascend a spiral stone staircase. And my room is off the second stage of the spiral. But whereas most of the rooms lead off landings which are to the right of the spiral, mine leads off to the left and is a room entirely on its own, crammed into some space which works out as left over as part of the architecture of a spiral system. I can't quite visualize it without looking at a plan, but rather like the cupboard under the stairs would be. As a result, I hear everyone making or trying to make their way up these spiral stairs, and by the time they reach the second stage, their steps are definitely slowing down, and there's wheezing and a certain amount of grunting, and you hold your breath and feel that you should make the effort for them just to make that one extra step. Cahors, from what I've seen of it, doesn't really enthrall me. It is, or I suppose, part of the contrast with what I've been going through, and inevitably the tourist atmosphere. You get the VA bit, and all the patisserie and the cafe. The cafe society is just irrelevant, really. I think, as far as I'm concerned, anyway. It's not easy in a place like this to find a good, honest bar. Whether genuine local working people gathered instead of kind of flotsam and jetsam of the world, twiddling one drink for half an hour and looking at each other. And there are also doesn't appear to be that much to look at. The church, or is it a cathedral here? I don't think it's a cathedral, it's a large church, which I've been into, has some very splendid stained glass. It glows. I think that was one of the great medieval Renaissance achievements, the stained glass. I just love to see the colour. It's transcendental when it's good. And has a quality that I don't think has been reproduced. I believe there's a bit of a castle, there's a bridge that one should see. I've got a book here somewhere which tells you the things that you should see, but I'm never very good at seeing the things that I'm supposed to see. Apart from that, well, there's the River Lot, which sweeps round in the horseshoe, which encloses the ground that the city's on, and the central station. I'm just wondering if there's somewhere I can stop off if I get the train north, which would be worth spending a day in. The most impressive thing about this place is undoubtedly this room. Has to be seen to be believed. Although it's credible. I mean, I've had a couple of rooms in Paris, not very different. Dusk, sitting in this extraordinary cemetery, full of ironwork and amazing graves. Feeling low. Missing Vicky like hell. She seemed offhand on the phone. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Just keeping herself back, I suppose. But for how long? I mean, how long can you go on doing that? And why? Looking down on the lights of the town. Soft, balmy evening. But this cemetery is something else. Little sort of houses built out of ironwork. Bats crossing the sky. I haven't really been sober since I left London, left Tiverton. Hopefully once I get walking I'll be alright. What do I want? But I want her to feel that I've got a take it or leave it attitude, which is not what I'm not going about it the right way at the moment. The sounds of the town below. I thought English graves were pretentious, but these are, I don't know, just extraordinary. Full of little Christs crucified all over the place. Flowers, which I suppose they're probably genuine. Entablatures. But masses of ironwork there. Feeling very lonely. Great big sort of Romanesque church which I visited earlier on. And an antique shop. With some nice stuff, but bloody hell, wasn't it expensive? £300 for a chair. £100 for a print, which in England would be 30 or 40. Say the rip-off. About 1.5 hours a day to get some change for £50. After that, things have been alright. Some of the graves look like little prams. Time to go to bed, said Zebedee. Looks like rain. Shut up, bloody dog. Graves are more like mausoleums. Shut up. I'm going to get an iron bar to deal with this lot. Fucking dogs. aggressive dogs annoy me, including my mother. Well, at last, on the way, I left Uzes at about 10:15 in pouring rain. I had trouble with the haversack. The strap had busted off. Felt pretty awful. Felt depressed. Had no maps. Discovered it was a bank holiday, so I couldn't buy any. The patron was friendly in the hotel. I paid and left, walked up the hill. Someone directed me to my immediate destination, which was Vigeois. And walked almost as if underwater. And it didn't stop raining till I got to Vigeois. But certainly people are a lot more friendly down here. It was getting me down the surliness and distance of the northerners. In Vigeois, it was about 11:15. I asked at Tabac for Les Cartes. They were very helpful. They didn't have any, but they told me of Mrs. Messier, who apparently was the president of the Syndicat d'Initiative, and lived at the hotel just down the road, to which I went. Sat down, ordered a vin rouge, and eventually asked for maps. Immediately everyone was prepared to do what they could. And eventually the resident chef produced two of the local 1-inch maps. And I said, "Can I buy them?" He said, "No, they belong to Madame Messier. But venez avec moi." And he took me up to another bar where there was a photocopier. And the man took at least 20 minutes photocopying the sections I wanted. Handshakes all round, and then I returned to the hotel. Another vin rouge, and then into the restaurant for soup and a salad dish with smoked duck. Extremely good. Left there about 1:30, and for the first time the walk seems okay. I'm enjoying it. I mean, the sun's come out, and it's extremely warm. I've been sweating like a pig. Also, I hit the proper grand randonnée. There are some people coming. I'm in La Barrière. The people were a group from Paris, just out for the weekend, walking to Vigeois and returning to Paris this evening. At least 15 of them. Some more coming now. The landscape is extraordinarily fertile, which isn't surprising in view of the rain and the heat and the sun. The sun. Fields full of dandelions, which have already gone to seed. Presumably they don't crop them, but everything. I don't think they spray. So. Buttercups. Forget-me-nots, trees everywhere with white apple blossom, more people. Vous sont avec les autres?
Oui.
Oui. Ah, pareil?
Oui.
Uh-huh. Je vais là. Cahors.
Cahors?
Oui.
Vous allez à Cahors?
Oui.
Très bien.
Je vais avoir la permission, mais peut-être que je vais pouvoir vous suivre.
Au revoir. Bonjour. Bonjour. C'est Chatras, là?
On vient de Cahors.
Chatras, oui. Bon.
Bon courage.
Et vous? Bonjour.
Bon emplacement là.
Oui.
Là, c'est vraiment le solitaire à côté de notre
Bonjour.
conducteur.
Je suis fatigué.
Et voilà.
The commonest flower is white stitchwort. I haven't seen anything but the brown jersey-like cows. Oh, and half a dozen sheep, but no sign of any milkers, nothing of that kind. And yet there's all this pasture, which I don't quite understand. Just where I am in La Barrière, behind me, is a building of it. Must be immense age. Completely ruinous, and it must have been a very fine building. Empty buildings everywhere, even here, even round here. Everything is green, peaceful. I can hear the river. Some young kid revving up his motorbike. Onward to Châteauroux. Also everywhere piles of 4 foot, about 4 foot length, neatly stacked logs. What are they for? Splitting for what, vine? To support vines? I don't know. After beginning to feel rather, certainly, well, very down, it was nice to be told in Vigeois that I was an homme charmant, and just now by these walkers that mon français was très bon. It's just a nice breeze getting up now. The sun's still shining. Hardly a cloud in the sky. They seemed to think it was strange that I was on my own, not with un groupe. I don't wish for choice to be on my own. I miss Vicky a lot, but I'd rather be on my own, I think, than with un groupe. I hope now that I have got going that my haversack holds up. It'd be very annoying if it fell to pieces. I don't quite know how I would mend it. An immense line of these logs, probably 100 yards of them. It really is quite warm. Very well-mannered countryside, this really. Valleys, wooded, deciduous, green fields, lush, rich. Lizards darting from the side of the road. It's that warm. I need a hat. Small streams everywhere. One's never really out of the sound of water running. But dare I drink it? I don't think I'd better. I could do with a drink now. Soft drink. I stuck some of my smoked duck between two slices of bread this morning, well, at lunchtime. So I have that to eat. But pas de bouvet. I mentioned Cahors. Someone said the wine was good there. One of the walkers. I had some of that last night, and it was good. The black wine of Cahors, I believe. Several butterflies, which I don't know the name of. Also maybugs, black beetles. Oh yes, and buzzards. Several buzzards since I started from Vigeois. beautiful white apple blossom. Presumably it is apple. The feeling of everything dappled in this sunlight and the fresh green leaves.